Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, August 17th, 2023. Guys, like summer's over, basically. I mean, kids are going back to school. My kids don't go back till next week, but lots of kids in the neighborhood already seem to be going back to school. Lots of kids around town are back in school. And I feel like everything's shutting down. You know, all the summer fun stuff is shutting down. Like, with the lakes around here, they're only like kind of have lifeguards and stuff. All the fun stuff's only open on the weekends now. I don't know what happened. You blink and it's just like, oh man, summer's gone. And I didn't do half of the stuff that I wanted to, but I got some fun stuff. And what about you guys? Did you guys do a lot of fun stuff this summer? I'm going to ask that to you guys in the audio only version in the podcast. Even though you guys have absolutely no way of responding, you can maybe just like say the words, the response in your head as you're running. Did you get everything done this summer that you wanted to? Yeah, but that's okay. I hear what you're saying, you know? Welcome to you guys. Hopefully you guys are having a good run out there today. Weather here is still pretty nice in Crystal Lake. It was nice and mild this morning. There was some storms, so I was finishing up today's video and editing while like a thunderstorm came through, and that was kind of a nice way to kind of wake up because it wasn't a terrible storm. It was just like a nice hard rain, which was good. Hopefully you guys didn't get that when you're running today, and hopefully you just got some of the nice balmy weather that came afterwards. And everyone watching this on YouTube later but not live, maybe you're watching this on the treadmill and getting your workout in because maybe there's a thunderstorm where you are right now. And if so, welcome, because I'm going to say it, and I've said it before, and most of the time I switch it up. But I'm going to repeat this one again because I do feel like this is the best running live stream to listen to while you're on the treadmill. I know there aren't a lot of running live streams. There are some, not a lot, but I'm going to say that this is the number one to have on while you're listening during a treadmill workout. And especially on a day like today, because today we're going to have a guest because it's Thursday. I like to bring in guests on Thursdays. And today's guest is Alex Hermanson, herm.runs on Instagram and on TikTok, if you're so inclined to be on the TikTok over there. But I've been following his stuff for several months now, and I've just absolutely been loving it. And every time I see something from Alex or Herm Runs, because I always have a hard time calling people their real names. I only call them by their Instagram handles. Every time I see a Herm Runs reel, I look at click. I'm like, who is this guy? And I click on the numbers, and I'm like, this has got to be a huge account. I'm probably like the last person to discover this guy. And then I look, and it's like, oh, it's like not that big. And I'm like, this is an underrated account. So I'm really glad that I was able to bring in Alex for this week. And I've now apparently met Alex twice. Not apparently, but like the first time I kind of forgot. We went for one time in Boston. We took a selfie. And then we met again in Baltimore at the Believe in the Run Shakeout. So after that second time, I was like, dude, we got to do this on the live stream. And he said yes. And so here he is. Let's bring him on. Alex, how you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Long time listener, first time caller. I appreciate it, though. I really do.
All right, cool. Where are you right now?
I'm in Jersey, right outside of Philly.
Okay.
And, if you follow me already, you probably know I'm all over the East Coast. You never know where I'm actually going to be. But yeah, we're headquartered in Jersey for at least a little bit here.
Okay, because like I feel like the last couple of reels have been from Boston. Yeah. Because you got some living situation things going on right now.
Yeah, we have a big move. You know, my girlfriend, she's a frequent in the chat. So
yeah,
shout out AMs. We're moving in Boston, but we have to get out of our old spot and move to we're moving to Cambridge. So I think that we're gonna class it up a little bit. We're gonna move into a little home, and I'm excited for that. But I had to get everything out of the old apartment, so it took a 24-hour trip to both run on the Esplanade and move. For me to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's impressive because you got to move in and you got some running in at the same time. I mean, I feel like running and moving are two like difficult things to combine on a very short trip, but you got it done.
It's impossible, but you know, I look for any excuse to run in Boston. I'm not even gonna lie when I say that. When she texted me that she wanted me to go to Boston, I was like, you know what? If I get to run there, that's all that matters because the miles fly by. I mean, even like, you know, the Boston Shakeout runs, things like that, you can run 5 miles and it's just a blink of an eye. And, you know, I'm sure it's similar in Chicago, though. I'm really excited to get up there.
Yeah. Are you going to come out for the marathon for Chicago?
I don't know yet. So I have a family member who has a conference in Chicago that weekend, and I'm trying to tag along. So we'll
Okay.
see.
It should be really fun. I feel like on a lot of levels, it's going to be a big Chicago this year. I think from the pro level, it's going to be big, and then I'm also hoping from kind of like the non-elite level, we'll be able to do a lot of, not just me, but I think a lot of people are planning to come into Chicago this year. So it should be a fun year.
Yeah, I was stoked when I saw the lists of elites announced yesterday. I mean, it's going to be a fun race. It's going to be a tight one, though.
Cool. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Manor Runs is here and he says, "Yo, what's going on? Excited for this. Alex content is the best."
What's up, man? Who runs? He's a great guy. 52 5Ks coming up on you.
I know, and I've been following his progress. He's been doing a 5K every week. That's a lot of 5Ks. That's a lot of hurt, I feel like.
It's my big thing is just race more 5Ks for fun. Go to those community events,
Yeah,
grow the community. One of my favorite things to do anymore is go to like these local 5Ks in New Jersey where there's maybe 30 people running,
Okay.
and just having a blast with them. I think it's fun.
Nice.
I don't push myself too terribly hard. I'm not going for a PR every time, but when they do come by happenstance, I have a good time with it.
All right, I like that. I've been thinking about doing some more of that too, because I'm new to Crystal Lake out in the suburbs here, and I'm like, I know there's races that happen, so I'm like, I should probably go. And there's even like a trail, like a race directing company that's out in Crystal Lake too. They do like ultra races. I'm like, I should probably sign up for one of those.
Yeah, we just did a trail half marathon, and I really took for granted the difference between road half marathon and the trail half marathon.
Yeah,
because around the 2 hour and 20-minute mark, and I wasn't quite done yet. I was freaking out, to say the least.
Oh man, that's so funny. All right, Daniel Burton says, "Who is this guy?" So let's dive into it a little bit, because I feel like you're relatively new to kind of like the running kind of influencer space. But you were telling me a little bit before we got on the live stream that you're a little bit newer to running. So like, you want to kind of like go back to, let's talk about like, when did some of the running on Instagram stuff kind of start?
Yeah, so the running on Instagram stuff started like the week before the Boston Marathon. I was just on the Esplanade one night. It was one of those nights where I had a long day at work, and I was like, you know what, let's go for a late night run, 10 p.m. And I had done some vlogging back in my previous career in the lacrosse industry, and I was like, you know what, let's film this run. Why not? Let's have fun with it. I think it was one of the more silly videos I had ever done. I think I did 2 that night. One of them was like, 5 tips to as a larger runner, like things that help me, because I'm a big dude. I'm like 6'3". I was 300 pounds a few months ago, and so it was definitely transition into the running space, and there weren't too many dudes who looked like me on TikTok, which was like my predominant social media at the time. So I was like, let's film this and have fun with it. So I did one of those, and then I did a silly little like cap cut. I put someone else's audio over myself running on the Esplanade, and one of those videos really, did well. I think it was the 5 tips for a larger runner, and a couple of people said it was inspirational. So I was like, you know what? Let's just keep making videos. Cool. And then the Boston Marathon comes around. I meet you. We do a little shakeout run.
Yeah.
That video does pretty well, and the rest is history. Now I'm still predominantly on TikTok, but I'm working on the Instagram space. I think that I got kind of a shadow banned on Instagram because I would just download the video from TikTok and throw it right on Instagram.
Oh yeah. They don't like that. They
did not like that. So I phased that out. So I'm trying to be better about the Instagram thing. But
yeah. I feel like I can tell. I don't know if I don't know what the algorithms do on these different social media platforms, but I feel like the algorithms know when your video that you're uploading has the watermark of another social media. Because when you save your video from like Instagram, it puts like the Instagram logo all over the place. And same thing with TikTok, it'll put that all over. And so it knows.
It does.
So you'll like a human would know. But I feel like the algorithm knows too, and it doesn't like that.
I think it knows both the watermark and if it was downloaded from TikTok, like something in the code or, behind the scenes of the video, because it doesn't seem to do as well on Instagram if I download it straight from TikTok, but I've downloaded CapCut and paid for the full subscription now. So we're in good company.
All right. Alex, I just tried to adjust your volume a little bit because someone was mentioning that they have a hard time hearing you. So,
anything I can do?
No, I think you're good, but I turn it up, but let me know in the chat if I just ruined it, because a lot of times the more I tinker with audio, the worse I make it. So just letting everybody know that. All right. So you now have the pro version of CapCut, or the paid version of I don't know.
Yeah,
I never
yeah. So we're
I know what CapCut is, but I've not really used it before. I don't know if it's like pro or paid or what.
well,
Um,
my big thing for a while, and this was my demise. When I first was making TikTok videos, I said to myself, if the day that I can't just record on my phone and edit on TikTok is the day I quit.
okay.
But then it blew up too big. It did too well on TikTok that I'm like, well, now I have to actually look into other things.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's funny like how those like kind of guardrails for yourself kind of quickly go to the wayside. But
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like that's usually a good sign too. Because
definitely.
like I've done one like that where I've always been like, well, if I have to rely on another person, then this is getting too big, and I don't want to be too big. I want to keep it like a solo one person thing. But like, at a certain point, you're like, well, I'm having fun, and there's other things I want to do, and I kind of need another person from time to time, and or like I'm having fun. I need to edit a different way to do the things that are fun, and so you're kind of like, well, maybe that rule wasn't that important of a rule.
Right. Like I would need someone to help me with After Effects.
Okay.
If it was just After Effects stuff, sure, I'd bring someone else in. But you're right. I want to just keep this a me thing because
Mhm.
also it would lose its voice. And I'm sure you feel the same way. You, of course, have your style of doing any video, and as does anyone who creates videos. And you just don't want to lose that.
Yeah. Um, so your audience is primarily, you think, like bigger guys that look like you, as you were saying?
Yeah, I think that that's a big side of it. I think it's a lot of people getting into running like myself. I mean, I just started running about a year ago. I started literally the day after the New York City Marathon. Um, so we went to the New York City Marathon. My girlfriend ran it, and I was like, you know what? This is it. This is the time I start running, and haven't looked back since that date. But it's definitely predominantly newer runners and people who look like me. I do the Big Dude Approved series where I review clothes and talk about things that brands I think are doing great and things I don't think brands are doing so well. I think one of the toughest barriers to entry as a larger runner is finding clothes that not just fit you well, but also look cool because everybody wants to look good on a run. You watch your favorite running influencers and they look great in their reels or TikToks, but you don't fit into that clothing. That can be really, heartbreaking. So I will then go and just buy it myself and I'll test it for you and I'll let you know what size I got and we'll fight this little battle together because I think that there's a lot of opportunities for brands to work with larger runners and be more inclusive in that space. And there are a lot of brands have reached out to me actually already and they're like, hey, let's send you some stuff so that you can show it off for your audience, and that's awesome.
Cool. Let's dig down a little bit deeper into that then. Are there what can you tell me like some if you I mean people ask me all the time like what's the best brand for running shoes, and I'm like, well, it kind of depends. Is there a way to kind of distill it down that way in terms of, is there a brand that's doing better in the space than other brands are that jump out to you?
1,000%.
Okay.
I mean, the best brand in the space is Adidas, and
Okay.
Adidas doesn't need me to give them the kudos to be a successful,
Yeah.
brand, but the Adidas Own the Run series, I know I've gotten a few pieces from them. I've been wearing it, all throughout the summer, and
Mhm.
it's the most size inclusive line of clothes that I've tested. I think that the sizes fit true, and it's incredibly breathable, and it looks good. So I always lean towards Adidas, and I've made some other controversial ones. Like I did Tracksmith the other day, for
Okay.
example, and
Uh,
Tracksmith, you got to size up.
mhm.
So I stretched the limit. I went and I did double XL everything. Some
Okay.
things fit well, some things didn't fit as well. But then, Tracksmith reached out later that night and they're like, hey, let us send you something that we think you'll like better. So I was able to follow up and, get some apparel items. Cause like, for example, I didn't educate myself that the Van Cortlandt singlet is, just their extra tight singlet. So, that might not work as well, but the Twilight tank that also looks awesome will fit great. So, finding those little things about each brand, I think is really beneficial to other people looking to buy running apparel and look cool while they do it. I think that's for
Yeah.
me, that's like one of my biggest insecurities. I want to look cool when I run.
Yeah. So like Eric says like it's interesting and it's good to hear that Adidas is doing well on that front. And I agree. I feel like Adidas is probably doing better than some of the other brands are. Vanessa Martinez says it's hard to find clothing for a larger size that fit well, look good, and is functional. And then pockets are also necessary. And I would say that like, the thing about it is the important part about it too. I mean, one is like if when it fits well, it makes you feel good, and you feel good, you run good, and it just makes running that much more enjoyable. Definitely, that's one thing. But I think the other part about it is like, when you have clothes that actually fit you properly, it doesn't look like this is like big people's clothing or anything like that. You know what I mean? Because like, I hear you talking about like you're telling me that like you're a bigger runner or that you're like 6'3", and I'm like, wait, we met in person. Isn't he 6'3"? I don't remember thinking that he's 6'3". So it's just like when the clothes fit, it just makes you look your best, and you don't really think about a person's size as much, And so I feel like that's why it's really important, because I'm like, you're telling me that you're a bigger one. I'm like, I don't remember him being that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah.
It's 6'2.5". You have to inflate the numbers a little bit
Now,
for
now,
the
now the
internet.
truth comes
It
out.
comes out. No, but you're so right. You're so right. And when I was so this isn't even my first attempt at a running journey. I played college baseball. I tore up my shoulder a few times, and I attempted to get into running then. And every time I got into it, I would have to go get another shoulder surgery. So I would lose the calling. But this is back in 2017. I would go to, the running store in Richmond, Virginia, and the only things that would fit me were navy blue, gray, black, and I needed a shoe. And the only shoes that were, wide, size 12.5, were gray and blue, black, and boring, Now, of course, I've taken on the wearing all black like a New York City runner thing. Like, it's cool, but there should be more options,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
for shoes.
Yeah. Well, Alexis is in here. Ams is in here, and she's clarifying. It's actually 6'2.25". So
Oh man, she's calling me out.
that's funny. So like the other thing that I want to talk about too is like, you already kind of mentioned it, is that like, so like you posted about some stuff you bought from Tracksmith. It wasn't exactly right, but then Tracksmith reached out to you, and you're saying other brands are reaching out to you. What are your numbers, just so for like other people that are kind of like trying to figure out this kind of journey too? Like, what are your numbers over like on TikTok and on Instagram, to the extent that I don't really think those matter all the time. It depends on like your audience and like your point of view, but like, just to put that into context, what are your numbers over there?
So TikTok's, I think we're just short of 24,000,
Okay.
and then Instagram's probably 2,700.
Okay. Yeah.
Not 27,000, but 2,700. So, no, I haven't quite broken into the Instagram sphere. I make these videos that make fun of TikTok versus Instagram runners pretty frequently, and
Yeah.
I think that I fall into the silliness of TikTok a little bit better. But it's not a sprint here; it's a marathon. So just keep posting on Instagram and hope that those numbers kind of level out here shortly. But it's so much. It's people are following so many more people on TikTok as well. I think that there's a little barrier on Instagram where people are like, I see this guy's reels a lot, but like I don't need to follow him. Where TikTok, people just follow you off the jump. It's a much easier platform to reach, I think.
See, I find it the opposite, and that's probably because I'm a lot older than you. But I just don't I don't know how to make content for TikTok. I've tried for like a couple months, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
I'll give you the playbook after this.
Okay.
I have it all written down.
Okay. Here's the one thing. So I had a conversation about this with another person, like about well, she's still younger than me, but by a lot, but someone that's closer to my age than maybe you are. And I was like, it seems to me like on Instagram, the reels that do well are the ones where the camera's far away. And on TikTok, the reels that do well are the ones where I'm talking to you and my phone is this close. I think there's an intimacy that's preferred in TikTok and a distance that's preferred on Instagram. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's 1,000% what it is. And I think my antics that work on TikTok don't work on Instagram, because the videos that do well on Instagram are the ones where I don't actually talk. It's just music playing and captions about like 3 tips that I'm using during my New York City marathon training. It'll do great on Instagram, horrible on TikTok. TikTok, I make a video about the time that I accidentally pooped myself, and it's blowing up on TikTok and it has 4 views on Instagram. So it's it's all over the place, man.
Yeah, well, here's the thing though. Here's what like throws a wrench in that. The I went viral once on TikTok. Like I think it was 2 years ago. I just had footage of Shalane Flanagan running in the New York City Marathon. It was
Mhm.
the year she ran like a bunch of like all six in like 4 or 5 weeks. It was the weird like post pandemic year,
Yeah.
and that went and got like 500,000 views. And it's
Yeah.
one of the most successful things I've ever done on the internet. And all I did was I just ran next to Shalane Flanagan from the sidelines at a race and put it to music, and that was it. And I was like,
That's
"This is what
Isn't
they."
it the most frustrating thing in the world? My most popular videos on TikTok are the ones that took me like, literally 4 minutes to put together, and then the ones that do not as well are, like, these elaborate Q&As I'll do where, people have questions, I answer them, and it just it doesn't do as well, but it happens.
Yeah. Matcha says that TikTok is much more discoverable. Do you find that that's the case?
Yeah, no, that's definitely the algorithm is much more precise, I would say. Like,
Okay. Okay.
Instagram keeps me in the running sphere.
Mhm.
TikTok is like, this is the person that you wanna see,
Okay.
over
Yeah.
and over and over again. So, that's at least my take.
Okay. See, that's the thing though that I feel like with TikTok it's harder because then like I don't ever find the need to like you were saying that like people don't follow on Instagram because like it'll just show you running stuff. But I
Mhm.
find like it's reversed. I feel like on TikTok, I'm like, I'm just on the For You page. I let TikTok show me stuff. I don't have to follow anything. It knows what I like. Like following stuff is just kind of like, I don't know, unless it seems redundant.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. I think that I've gone about TikTok the wrong way partially. I think I'm in this weird, like, I'm not quite young enough to use TikTok like that, but I'm also not, like, not looking to follow people.
Uh,
So, I think that I just fall in this weird little bubble. Meanwhile, Instagram, I think I get confused by Instagram 'cause I feel like I'm following a lot more people, and then I'll click on their profile, I'm like, "Oh, I don't even follow this person, but I see their content every day." So, maybe that's part of the confusion. I could have this debate all day long because I've swayed and I think it's just because of the, uh how well I'm doing on TikTok that I'm like, "Oh, yeah, TikTok's better." But, it would sway the other way if Instagram was doing better.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think that like it's not a bad idea, I think, to like really like focus in on one and only one platform first. You know what I mean? Because I think that there's a lot of pressure for people to be like, oh, well, now I have to have a presence on Threads, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and Snapchat, and everything like that. But I feel like just I don't know, pick the ones that your work that works for you, that you know that your stuff resonates, and then figure the rest out as you go, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna praise you for your, ability to work Threads because I log into Threads and I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm overwhelmed. I can't keep up with this." It's like 3 times a week right now. We're working on it.
Well, I mean, I just treat Threads like I treated Twitter. I stopped using Twitter a long time ago because it just became very stressful over there, and I was just like, "I this is a mess. This is too hectic. I gotta get out of here." And then I was like, "Oh, Threads. This is like it looks exactly like the other app, but it's not as chaotic." So I'm like, "Okay." And I don't really know what I'm doing over there. I didn't know what I was doing on Twitter either, but I don't know. It's fun to kind of like rummage around there.
Yeah, it's finally a spot I can just write words, but then I'm like, words aren't gonna do well. People wanna see videos.
um, Yeah, I mean, do people want to see words? I'm not sure. Here's the thing. Here's the ultimate irony. You just said people don't want to see words. People want to see videos. What's the one thing that everyone's like the advice that people say for your reels? Make sure you put words on them, like
Yeah, right.
caption them and everything. So like
Captions.
that. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. None of the advice makes sense anymore.
No, nothing adds up. Especially now that I'm posting pictures on Reels too, and it's like I'm posting it on the story on Instagram, the
Mm.
Reel, and or I mean Threads, sorry, not Reels. Yeah, it's just a whole lot of content.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your running a little bit. You said you started running about a year ago, or
Yeah.
yeah, about a year ago since the last New York marathon. How's it going for you?
I'm loving it.
Mhm.
I have taken this approach, I think that I don't know if your Instagram Reels feed is just everyone talking about doing 80/20 running, but
Mm.
I only do 100 running, which is all slow. I try and take every run as slow as possible, and, I'm loving it. I just go out, it's the best way to clear my head at the end of the day, and training for the marathon's going superb. I
Okay.
have luckily, knock on wood, not faced any real setbacks, and I think that part of that is just because, I'm not taking it too seriously yet. I think that getting the first one out of the way will be nice, and then I can start hunting for PRs and stuff
Okay.
like that.
All right. Nice. Well, we got some shoe questions for you here now. Vanessa Martina wants to know what's your go-to everyday shoe for your 100% easy running?
Yeah, Nova Blast 3 is
Nice.
my daily trainer. Thank you, Co.
Awesome.
But I've actually been running, you can kind of see it over my shoulder right here, the Boston 12, which
Okay.
I've very much been enjoying.
Okay.
It gives me a hint of Nova Blast with a little bit of something more springy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm very much enjoying it.
All right. I just got a pair. Where are they? They're in over here somewhere. I just got a pair of those. Um, I've been hearing good things, and I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
You're gonna
So
love
we'll
it.
see. Okay.
I already know you're gonna love it, just
Um,
based on my prior research of you.
and then what marathon are you training for?
New York City. So,
Okay. Cool.
yeah, so when I was presented with the opportunity to run for, the New York City Marathon, I was like, "You know what? Let's, conclude the year the way we started it." And, serendipitous enough, it's on November 5th. Oh, you're gonna hate this comment. Ready for this? My birthday is November 5th, and I'm turning 26, so I'm running 26 miles on my 26th birthday
Oh, that's
in New
nice.
York City, capping off a year to remember. So it's gonna be a
So
really
11-5, 11-5, the birthday and the marathon, and then 26 and 26.
exactly.
That's pretty nice.
That is, I just feel like that is the way to cap off this storybook year.
Very cool. Very cool. And what are the goals? Finish the race, have fun, time goals. What are you thinking?
So the stretch time goal is a 4:30,
Okay.
about a 10 to some odd mile runner,
Mhm.
and the real goal is just to have fun, finish. I have a feeling I'm gonna take some detours, so I think as long as I'm done in 5 hours, I won't beat
Okay.
myself up too bad.
Okay.
Those streets in Brooklyn get a little bit party-ish in the Bronx, and so I want to take that all in. I want to really remember this one before I start racing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my first marathon was like 440 something.
All
So
right, if
my
you're giving me the hope that I can get down to sub 3 like you,
yeah, yeah.
then,
This time.
there is time.
Very cool, very cool. Is Am's running too or no?
She
Okay,
is.
cool.
She
Are you guys gonna run
she
together?
absolutely not. She is going to run a 3:30, and
Okay,
I
okay.
am going to have fun in the back with the party pace crew, but no,
Nice, nice.
she is, she's fast, for me. We went out in Baltimore a couple weeks ago, actually the morning of the Believe in the Run shakeout,
Mhm.
and she had a threshold run, so I was just biking with her. I'm like, "Oh, wow, I actually have to, like, pedal to keep up with you." I think when she bikes with me, she's just rolling around like a beach cruiser.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, very, very cool. And then when is the move happen? Because you got like a move happening, and
I
you're
know.
training for New York. When is all this gonna happen?
So we move on the holiday of September 1st in the city of Boston. It's when
Okay.
everybody moves in or out. It's the most
Yeah, yeah.
chaotic 24 hours in the city. And then we'll be in Boston for the next couple of years, and I'll be training, running on the Esplanade. But
Mhm.
I think that this is going to sound a little bit wild. I'm just going to put it out there that I'm going to start training for ultras after New York City, and
Nice,
we have some
nice.
fun ones here in New Jersey. But then also just traveling around, and I got a couple of people reaching out to me about coming to their ultras, which is
Okay,
wild because I've never even ran more than I think 17 miles in a single clip.
okay,
Uh, but yeah, I think I've been really embraced by a lot of people in the ultra community who've taken me in and really just been very encouraging. And we did the David Goggins crazy 4x4x48 challenge a
okay.
couple months back, and that really pushed me. And like, wow, I can push myself in this like crazy point that I never like have before. And so maybe doing that more frequently would be fun.
So when you did the 4x4x48, it's four. Can you explain what the
Well,
four
yeah,
what the numbers
4
are?
miles every 4 hours for
Okay.
48 hours,
Okay.
and we did it around the city of Philadelphia.
Okay.
It was, it had its highs and it had its lows, to say the
Did you
least.
find other people that were doing it at the same time? Like, did you like,
Yeah.
oh, those guys are running and it's 3 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, kind
Oh,
of thing.
no, so we had our group.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it was a handful of us from our running club here in Philly, and, 2 of us did the full thing, the full 48 miles, and then a few other people did, like, 30 miles with us, and then we had the whole group come out for one of the legs of it, and that was really awesome. That was really fun.
How was it running at night? I'm not a big fan of running at night.
You know what? That was actually some of the better runs. You
Oh,
know,
great.
you've never experienced life until you're running down Spring Garden in Philadelphia at 4 in the morning. But the 4 p.m. runs and the noon runs when the sun is just beating down on you are
Okay.
the absolute worst, and you haven't really slept much. You're battling chafing like you've never experienced because you're, getting cleaned up every time. And usually if you're just running straight through, you don't notice things like that. But when you get cleaned up and maybe try and take like a hour cat nap, it all adds up.
Yeah. I mean, it's like on paper, I feel like 4 miles every 4 hours. I'm like, that doesn't sound bad, but I'm like, you got to do this for 2 days.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a lot of laundry.
You quickly realize, yeah, right. I'm so glad I ordered like 4 pairs of half tights the week before because they were all ran through it after day one. I think we were doing laundry at like midnight the one day just to make sure we had half tights, and then a monsoon came through, like
Oh,
a literal hurricane. So you're
yeah.
like, where do we have a treadmill around here that we can get the 4
Oh, okay. Yeah.
miles in? We didn't have to do that. Luckily, it subsided just long enough,
Uh-huh.
but you quickly realize that it's no longer a physical thing. Running 4 miles isn't
Right.
terrible.
Right.
Doing that consistently with little sleep is ruthless.
Tell me about what was the food that you were eating during that in those
Everything.
break times. Yeah.
Everything. So my big thing is donuts. I
Okay.
run and I eat donuts on my runs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I find that they actually work really well for me as fuel.
Okay.
So I was eating a lot of donuts, a lot of hoagies. I mean, it's Philadelphia, so we got a cheesesteak, a couple cheesesteaks, a couple turkey clubs.
Are you like running and eating these like,
Oh no,
or you stop?
that's just the donuts.
Okay.
we My favorite challenge I've done though is similar but different completely.
Okay.
In my little hometown here, there's 4 Dunkin' Donuts, and if you run in the loop around all of them, it's a half marathon. So I was like,
Oh, okay.
well,
Yeah.
today we're just gonna fuel using Dunkin' Donuts, and ran to all of the Dunkin' Donuts in my town.
Well,
Best
that's good
idea I've ever
timing
had.
too. I mean, that's good timing too in terms of spacing out
Yeah,
for over a half marathon.
worked
That's
super well. It was
okay.
like one was at like 3.5 miles, one was at 6.5 miles, one was
Mhm.
at 8, and then one was at like 11. It could not have worked better.
I mean, that already just sounds like an ultra trail kind of race.
Yeah.
And Grumpy Chronicle says trail runners do much better at parties than road racers. There's better food and beer are staples.
Hey, that's what I'm looking for at the New York City Marathon. So I know nothing new on race day, but maybe a couple things new. Maybe we throw some
Yeah.
food and beer in there.
Yeah, that's definitely a big difference between the trail and the road races, for sure.
Yeah.
When I did the Hut Run Hut, when I was
Mhm.
in Colorado, um, I was actually kind of worried. I'm like, oh man, there's like no running water at a lot of these places. Like we have to like someone's driving in all this food and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if there's gonna be beer, but there was more beer than anything. I mean,
Hey,
so like there was definitely fine. Like the trail runners, they're good on the beer,
if there's one thing I've learned, it's that this community will provide you with beer all opportunities they get, and I am here for it.
Nice.
It definitely makes the events a little bit more encouraging if you've had a long week before one.
Mm-hmm. Alf Dickinson says the scariest thing about 4x4x48 was when my wife clocked what I was doing through the second night, and she was mad. Now, did
Yeah.
Amy do this with you? Did she do that challenge too?
She did not.
Oh, okay.
I
She
don't
was just
remember
like, I'm
what she
doing
was
a pass or what? She's like, you
I don't
do you.
remember what she was doing that weekend, but I think I remember texting her and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna." the key to this challenge, two things. So I texted her, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this challenge. So, and she was like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I know, thank you. But the thing is, I was notified about it 2 days before we started, which was
Oh.
the perfect amount of time to have to be like, this isn't crazy enough where I can still like back out
Mhm.
and like, let's just jump in and do it. Because if I was given another 24 hours, I'd be like, you know what, this is no longer sounding like a great idea.
Nice. All right. There's a very important question here. Where to go? Robert Krieger wants to know, what's the best donut to eat while running?
Chocolate frosted with sprinkles.
Okay.
Or if you have a Krispy Kreme local, hot
Mm.
and ready Krispy Kreme. Those go down far too easily. And I'm trying to get down to the NC State Krispy Kreme run at some
Oh,
point.
okay.
Have you
Yeah,
heard of
yeah.
that?
I know that like that Krispy Kremes are big in that part of the country. Is it
Mhm.
a special like
Yeah, it's a
thing about
huge race. So
it? Okay.
you run, I want to say it's a 10K or
Oh.
it's a little bit longer, but the first half of it, you run to a Krispy Kreme, you eat a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts, and you
Oh,
have to run back. And
that's a
so
lot. That's a lot.
it's a lot. That
I could probably slam 4 real fast, but like a
yeah,
dozen? Oh my
that
goodness.
I did the on National Donut Day. I did the donut mile. So we've all done beer
Okay.
miles or heard of
Mhm.
beer miles. I did a donut mile. That was
Okay.
kind of tough, but yeah, 12 of them is going to be hefty.
um, yeah. Eric says, Glaze baby, Krispy Kreme for the win. He's a fan.
Those go down just so much easier because when they're hot and ready, they melt in your mouth. You're
True.
not
True.
worried
True.
about chewing and figuring all that out.
Yeah. 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 I agree. I agree. Martha says that Kerry Smith, who used to be on the live streams quite a bit, has done the 4x48 thing at least once. And I know that like I met someone from Believe in the Run, Seth Apley. He had a 4x48 shirt on. He did it, I think, at least once too.
It's a big thing for ultra runners for their
Mhm.
training plan. So
Okay.
there's this legend in Philadelphia, this guy Gags. He's got a huge beard, ultra runner. He does it when he's training for his 100 milers, and
Okay.
he says that the 4x48 is almost as hard as a 100 miler, and I'm like, I don't know about
Yeah,
that,
that's
but
nice. It's like that's nice of you to say while we're
yeah,
here.
I think it was just encouragement. He was trying to give us an hour like 36, but I was like,
Yeah,
Gags, come
yeah,
on.
yeah.
You
That's
don't
funny.
need to tease me like that. He's a really good dude though, and he helped us, try and figure out like what we needed to get through it, whether it was
Okay.
shorter naps,
Mhm.
fueling, things along those lines. Because at that point, I had probably burned, I don't know, like 12,000 calories, and there's no way I ate 12,000 calories, but like
Right.
I needed to try and get things in. So, drinking, flat Coke and eating hash browns from McDonald's and things along those lines to kind of recoup quickly those,
Mhm.
basic foods.
And how long did it take you to recover from something like that?
Fun fact, I got a upper respiratory infection the next day. So it was a full week and a half of
Okay.
recovery
Yeah.
with
That
no
sounds about right.
running. The worst part about all of this is that we did it the week before the Broad Street run that we were all going to be running.
Okay.
And so I had to not run the Broad Street run because of that. So,
Oh, that's a
you know,
shame.
it's okay. There'll be more Broad Street runs. There's only so many opportunities in life to do such a thing with so many
Mhm.
friends. I mean, everyone I did that run with, I'm so much closer with now than
Yeah.
I could have ever imagined. So, you know,
Yeah. There's
memories
something
over.
about an adventure like that brings people together.
Yeah, when you're at your ultimate low and you're watching fish tales at 4 in the morning because you're hallucinating from not sleeping or whatever.
So then you've got the New York City Marathon coming up. You're running in the Nova Blast and the Boston 12. What are you thinking on race day? You gonna just get some more Nova Blast or another Boston or any switching it up?
We're gonna go Super Blast, I think. I mean, the
Okay.
Super
Nice.
Blast is my if we're doing I don't know if you're gonna ask this, but if we were doing an overrated, underrated, I don't think we can rate the Super Blast higher.
Okay.
Um, I think that as someone who is, I mean, slow in terms, but fast for myself, and doesn't need carbon because I
Mhm.
find I have to work way too hard. I've tried pretty
Okay.
much all of them now, and they're not terribly comfortable other than the ST Elite V3 after 13 miles. if you don't need carbon and you just want to keep your feet happy, the Super Blast is like the go-to shoe in my opinion, and it's so much fun. It's like it just springy. I can't say enough great things about the Super Blast, honestly.
Very cool. That'll be exciting to see. And then, are you thinking about other kind of running goals after New York, or is it kind of like let's do New York first and then we'll figure the rest out kind of after that?
Yeah, I would say do New York first. Keep doing races as often as possible just because they're
Mhm,
fun. And I don't
mhm.
mind if I'm, back of the pack, just there for the good time. And then, we'll start setting some PRs occasionally, maybe. I definitely want to get out to Colorado and do something like what you just did, run up mountains, down mountains, and crush my lungs as best as possible. Peachtree, I have that on the list. I have a buddy down there who was like, "Dude, you got to get down for Peachtree next year." So I think Peachtree's on the list. The Austin Marathon might be on the list.
Okay.
I've been talking to some friends and people out there, so we'll see. I don't quite know yet.
Yeah, I highly recommend the Peachtree Road Race. It's just a lot of fun, and it was kind of like the smallest big race I've ever been to, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like it had the feel where like I could still find people that I was looking for, and it felt intimate, but at the same time, it had all kind of like the infrastructure of a race the size that it is, like 50,000 people, and it was just a lot of fun.
yeah, it's huge, and chasing the 6 stars would be cool.
Mhm.
I don't have plans to ever BQ currently because
Okay.
the idea of even running one singular mile at BQ pace
Okay.
is a long shot. But
Mhm.
the my big line is that the start and the finish line of the Boston Marathon are painted there 365 days a year. So go
Okay.
run
Yeah. Yeah.
it. That might be an unpopular opinion. People are going to come at me for it. They already have. But
Oh, really? Wait, so you've talked about this? You're like, one day I'm just gonna run from Hopkinton to the finish line, and people were like, "You're not allowed to do that."
yeah, well, I got some angry DMs from people that I was just I think I was doing a Q&A and I was like,
Oh,
they're like, "Are you looking to BQ one day?" I'm like, "Probably not." If the start and finish lines are always there and I can post it on Strava, then why not just go run it? Because it might even be more fun at some other time for me, where I can
yeah,
stop
yeah.
for donuts or something like that. Like it would be amazing to run it, of course, on the official
Yeah,
day, but
yeah,
fundraising $10,000 or running a sub 3 hour marathon both seem like long shots in my life right now.
yeah. It's a
So,
lot. It's a lot.
uh, I'm not opposed to doing it on a random Wednesday at midnight because the roads
Yeah,
will be clear.
the fundraising is a lot, and there are people that run it, like, just when the roads are closed, like, that weekend, there are people
Yep.
that kind of, like, run along the course, but also, like, it's not one of those courses where, like, you run on a highway that's closed during the race, so I do feel like the entire course is runnable, like, you could run it in October, you know what I mean? Like, some other time as well. I feel like that's also something that, people have done.
I would say that's the biggest difference too. Yeah, like you're not closing down the Verrazano Bridge for me on a random
Right.
Tuesday for me to run the New York City Marathon, but
Yeah.
you can run from Hopkinton to Boylston pretty
Yeah.
handily.
Yeah. JC says that you can do the 26 true in Boston, which I'm thinking about. I might do that next year.
Is it the same race? I'm
No, it's
uneducated.
a different race. It's an event where you actually run through more of like the Boston neighborhoods.
Oh, nice.
So like, people say like the Boston Marathon, you spend most of your time kind of like in the suburbs and then you
Right.
run to the city. And so the 26 point true is more about actually running and visiting the different neighborhoods in Boston. And people usually do that because Boston's always run on a Monday, so they run it on the Sunday.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would do
so
that. That
I think
sounds more up
because
my alley.
I'm gonna go I'll be there. I'm not planning on running next year, but I'll definitely be there. So I'm thinking about signing up for that one. You know.
Yeah, we did a half marathon the other day just
Mhm.
because I was making a funny video about my buddy who's lived in Boston for 10 years, showing him the points of Boston. And we just ran right down Newbury and down Boylston all the way up to the north end and
Mhm.
down to Seaport and back. And we ran the streets and it was fun.
Yeah.
I got off the Esplanade for once.
Yeah, yeah. Alf Dickinson says that people run the London Marathon in reverse at midnight when the roads are all closed off. So like, I think people mention that they do something like that happens kind of in Boston too.
Maybe, yeah. So I think that's called oh shoot, I don't want to make it or say
Mhm.
the wrong thing, but people do that. Actually I had a buddy who did that this year. But
Okay.
what if I made my own medal? Like, who needs Abbott? Everybody who runs the world 6 major marathons, but not on race day, that'll be a
Oh,
new competition.
New York would be hard, and
New York would be impossible nearly.
'cause how you gonna run the Verrazano Bridge, man?
All the bridges.
They would just look, yeah, it would just be all your citations. It'd just be like a book that you put all your citations in, 'cause
Just send
that's
me your
the
tickets for running on the median. We'll pay them, but you, like, get to complete the race.
yeah. But Frank Lahulier says, "You should never count yourself out for something like a PQ, though." So,
You're right, I shouldn't.
yeah.
I think that I just need to, like, get into running faster first. I've never been
Yeah,
fast. So, like, my
yeah.
my running, origin story could even begin in college when I failed our fitness test 8 times. It was a mile and a half and 9 and a half.
Yeah. Okay.
And for me, that was just, like, unobtainable. So my
A
freshman
mile
year, I
and a
get
half a mile and a
there.
half in 9.5 minutes?
Yeah, what is that, 6:30s?
Yeah, it's like a 6:15 mile.
Yeah, so we were cooking.
That's
We were
not slow. That's pretty hard.
I know. Trust me, I failed it 8 times. So I get to college though as a freshman and, here's the thing, they advertise it as a mile, like 1.1 miles in 9.5, which
Hmm.
seems a lot more obtainable. Then you go out into the course, you put the watch on, and you're like, "This is not 1.1 miles."
Yeah, yeah.
So I failed it 8 times, and I just was not I was in great shape, I thought, and I would finish in, like, 9:47, and it was just over and over again. I did end up passing it, but, I've never been known for my speed, but I could go forever. I went to my coach one day, I was like, "Dude, I will go run 10 miles for you right now,
Yeah.
but, like, this mile and a half and 9.5 is not gonna happen." It did, and I felt like I was on top of the world. I could have probably BQ'd that day with the adrenaline going through
Yeah.
me, but, like, that was the only opportunity up until this day.
Mark Peterson says that there's a guy who's been doing the grandma's double every year for like decades. He starts at the finish in the middle of the night and then goes back to the start and does the actual race. Oh my
Wow,
goodness.
good for him,
Yeah.
that sounds
Especially,
like something Andy Glaze would do or something.
but like, yeah, that guy runs so much. But like, that means you also have to run uphill because the grandma's is like a downhill race. So then
Right,
you have
right.
to run uphill first,
Well,
which
just
I
a
would.
warm up. That gets the legs going, he probably mixes in a couple strides around mile 14 just to, you know, keep the legs turning over, and then by
Yeah.
the time he's at the starting line, the official one, he's fresh.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, that'll wake you up in the morning. Nice warm
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
But at the same time, like you're enjoying running as it is, and it's like I don't want you to feel like I'm pressuring you to run faster or whatever. Just make sure you're enjoying it.
Right, yeah, no, and at the end of the day, this is all for fun,
Yeah.
whether it be the running thing or the, running, influencer thing. I don't love that
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
It's all for fun,
Yeah.
we take it or leave it,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just gonna keep doing what I've been doing.
Yeah. I don't love the running influencer term either, but I just don't know how it's to kind of like
I know.
I'd been using like running semi-pro for a while, but then
That's
people
a
thought like, well, maybe I was kind of fast, but
You
not
are.
fast enough. But I'm like, well, no, what I'm trying to say is that like I was like, I'm a slow running professional, and the people are like, "What's slow running?" I'm like, no, 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 that's not it. I make videos on the internet. They're like, an influencer. I was like, yeah. So that's kind
Yeah.
of where I ended up because I'm like, don't be cute about it. Is
It
there
it
a
was
term you like more?
No, I haven't found one yet. That's
Okay.
the issue. It's like, I go to a doctor's appointment and they're like, "Well, your mom was telling us that you're doing the running influencer thing." I was like,
Okay.
"Really? Is that what
Okay.
she
Yeah.
said?" Uh,
Quick follow up question. Your your doctor tells you what your mom said?
we're all friends.
Okay.
But
I was like, how
my
small
mom
is this town that you're in? I'm like, how many? Is there only one doctor in town?
No, my mom is a doctor.
Oh,
So they all talk. I should have probably clarified that. No, actually, our town just has one doctor, and he comes to you when you call him, and you have smallpox or something.
if you have consumption, then he'll come.
Yeah, yes. He's the
Okay,
town
yeah,
doc.
because I was just like, wait, why does the doctor know what your mom
That
said?
was just the most recent experience that popped into my mind, but it was it's just one of those things that I don't think there's a stigma around it. I mean,
Mhm.
there might be.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where you're like, "Yeah, I'm an influencer." Like, I don't
Yeah,
necessarily want to influence people, but I do wanna help them find things that they enjoy,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
or, like, I enjoy, so I guess I technically am influencing you,
yeah.
but make your own decisions.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conversation I have with a lot of people because, like, running media sounds like I'm trying to make it sound fancier than it is. I'm like, I did not go to journalism school. I don't write for a newspaper, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Running
you're
media
like
sounds weird, but like that also fits a lot of the time. But I also feel like running influencer also is a very convenient shorthand. Kind of gets to the
right, it
point.
gets to the point, but then it's like, do you do TikTok dances too?
Yeah.
That's what what that might be part of it too. It's the insecurity of both being TikTok being my biggest
Okay.
platform
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the influencer thing. It's like a double whammy. It's a whole lot of like, are you sure that you're not doing dances or like
Yeah.
whatever else?
Well, are you dry scooping pre-workout before any of your runs?
No. That is something I've never been able to do that. I never understood the dry scoop phenomena,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's real. That's not for me though.
You know what's wild is I had never seen anyone do it ever, like on the internet, other than like the cinnamon challenge,
Oh,
like
that.
that thing,
Yeah.
which was ridiculous. But like, so I'd never even like seen it before. And one time I went to Running Warehouse and I was going to film something with Connor at Running Warehouse. And we're getting ready to film. And he literally took some Martin, put it into like a little, like small plastic cup and just shot it like the
Stop.
drink mix. And I was just like, what did you just do? And then he's like chasing it with a little bit of water. He's like, what? And I was like, I don't know what I just saw here.
Oh,
And I was like, wait,
no.
what is this called? What are you doing? So, so
Of
like,
all the things too, the Martin drink mix?
yeah, I mean, it was just so bizarre to me. And now I know that it's like a thing, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Frank and Adam want to know because these guys are my age. They say, "What's a dry scoop?" It, can you
It's
explain what
basically
dry scooping is?
take whatever your supplement is for the day, whether it be electrolytes or pre-workout or protein even, like protein powder, toss it in your mouth and wash it down with some water. It's basically like if you took like a capsule pill and opened up the capsule of it and just put that in your mouth and wash it down with something to drink.
Yeah,
It's disgusting. I don't know how people do it,
I
truly.
don't know either. I would end up with it just like getting spewed all over.
Right, it would be all over me, and then it would just lead to horrible, I don't know, like
Yeah,
regurgitation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So then, but I mean, I do feel like it's harder when it's like my primary like social media
Mhm.
account is TikTok, and I make videos to influence people on TikTok. I feel like it's hard to be like I'm not a running influencer because I feel like TikTok is one of the more influency ones. Do
Oh,
you
it
think?
definitely is. Yeah. Yeah, especially with, like, now the TikTok shop stuff and everything,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
everything you can sell anything you want on there pretty much, and as long as you're talking about it, you have the option to, like, turn it on to make commission on it, things
Mhm.
along those lines, but yeah, I try not to influence too much, if that makes sense. I'll tell people
Yeah,
what I like, and I'll
yeah.
point them in the right direction, but, you know, there may be one day where there's codes for, like, herm runs or whatever on people's websites, but not for
That'd
now.
be nice for dry scoop products.
For dry scoop products only, I'm gonna work that into the contract. It'll just be a bundle of things you can dry scoop, and it comes with, like, one single water bottle that you just need for all of your dry scoops because you're not drinking enough water.
All right. Well, while we're talking about dry scooping, Wojciech Malkowicz wants to know: do you have a go-to protein that you use?
I'm about to influence. Um, it's the Bare Performance Nutrition
Okay. Yeah.
cinnamon roll,
Oh, okay.
protein. Yeah, it's delicious, actually, it's really good. It's a whey protein, I got away
Mhm.
from whey proteins for a while there. I found my body doing better with the pea protein,
Okay.
but, I'm on it. I haven't had any issues with it, and I'm really enjoying it, so I do that, and then I eat a lot of bars. If I
Okay.
can get my hand on protein bars, like a Bear Bells. Have you had one of those yet?
I don't think I've ever had anything from BPN before.
So Bear Bells is a different company, actually.
Oh, okay, okay.
BPN
I
does a
didn't know if
few.
it was Bear Performance, like
Oh, yeah, no, that could definitely be
bells.
confusing. So
Yeah.
Bear Bells, I know you can get them at Trader Joe's. I found them at Wawa the other day. Dude, they taste like candy bars.
Okay.
Like, I ate 2 of them without even thinking about it because I thought it was like a Snickers, Milky Way kind of hybrid,
Okay.
and it once you get started, man, you're never going back.
Okay. Mike Hara Boardman says, I love Bear Bells.
Yeah, they're
And Calvin Huang says, what I think every time someone says pea protein, he said PP protein. Because I always feel like pea proteins. I'm like, oh, there's pea in your proteins. There's proteins in your pea. I'm like, oh, maybe you should get that checked out.
Yeah,
Um,
everybody proteins differently. Some people dry soup, some people pee in their protein. I prefer to drink mine in a shaker bottle. Shaker bottle.
uh, Vanessa Martinez wants to know, do the Bear Bells have a lot of sugar? What's the sugar
I
situation?
couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I know they have a good amount of protein,
Okay.
and they taste delightful.
Okay. Yeah. Matthias Ventus says the Bear Bells is legit. I get mine from Trader Joe's as well too.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. In terms of like working, with brands, like you were talking about, like brands are starting to send you stuff. Like, do you set goals? Like the next couple months, I want to work on these kinds of projects or anything like that? Or are you just kind of like, let's see what happens, kind of like going with the flow?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So I've had an overwhelming number of people reach out, so I'm still trying to get this all
Oh, okay.
organized because it's my first time doing this, and
Mhm.
I don't really I've never, had to deal with it before, obviously, and so and I a lot of my friends also are, that I've met online are having similar situations, so we're all kind of trying to work through this together. So I would say long-term goal, I would love to, have a great relationship with every brand where I could do things like Big Dude approved, and I'm
Mhm.
just getting them send me stuff so that I can then show it off.
Yeah.
Um, as for short term, I'm gonna just keep saying yes to people who want to send stuff for free for that stuff, and
Yeah.
do the programs, and make sure that, or sorry, the Big Dude approved, and make sure that I'm being authentic, and letting people know like, hey, this was sent to me,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and enjoying it all. I'm just kind of enjoying the ride. As for like sponsorships and things like that, I've signed a couple. There's stuff coming out here soon,
Nice. Very
actually.
good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, so yeah, just stay tuned. There's gonna be a lot of fun
Yeah.
stuff coming soon.
Awesome.
The month of September is gonna be awesome.
Very cool. Look forward to it. Before I let you go, one question. A couple of people have asked this. Are you half tights for races or split shorts or long shorts? What's your go-to?
How bad am I chafed that day is my go-to.
Okay.
I am a big split short guy. I've really
Okay.
been enjoying the BOA 1-inch split shorts a lot. They have
Nice.
fun colors, and I don't chafe badly in them.
Mhm.
But I also love half tights because I just feel very secure in them. They usually have better pockets if I'm
Yeah.
and things of that nature. So, you can't fit as much into a split short too frequently, especially if it's anything over, I don't know, 10 miles where you actually need to hold stuff. And so, split shorts for a shorter race, half tights for a long race. I can't do long shorts. So, the long shorts that's where I have run into chafing issues. That's
Okay.
where there's too much fabric moving, and it's
Okay.
just doesn't work
Got
too
it.
well.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
For those, if you guys have enjoyed this conversation, if you're listening now, you clearly have. Make sure you go follow herm.runs on Instagram, or if you're on TikTok, I don't know what the handle is on TikTok. Can you tell everyone what it is?
It's Herm Runs, no period. I don't know
Okay.
who took Herm Runs without a period on Instagram, but I will find them one day.
Maybe you can offer them some sort of trade or something. Be like, can I have that
Yeah,
account, please? But find
$1.
Alex because the content is really fun. I've been really enjoying it. It's one of my favorite accounts to watch on the internet. These days, it's been really refreshing, and I was so glad that you were able to spend some time with us here on the live stream.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me, and this was a hoot. Love
All
it.
right. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today. We'll do another live stream tomorrow for Friday, same time as today. And right here on this channel, it'll just be me won't be Alex tomorrow. So if you need more Alex, make sure you go follow him on all his accounts. And until the next time I see you guys, be safe out there, everybody. Bye.